What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. Continuing our discussion of how to clean your machine, I wanted to talk about how to remove the lamp rebound springs from a bingo playfield. These springs are very fragile. They're made of a tiny strip of metal that is stretched between two steel posts, and it is very easy for that thin metal to shear off or actually be pulled from the tiny kind of flange that holds it in place. So you don't want to exert vertical force on it from above the playfield because it's just so easy to destroy it. And there's not any of those floating around that I'm aware of. So other than a parts game, you're kind of out of luck if you destroy one. So in order to remove those metal springs, you have to lift up the bingo playfield from the bottom and look around the lamp sockets. What you'll see are two post holes where the spring attaches. And as you can see, they're driven all the way through the playfield. So what you have to do is knock it out from below. What I did is went to Harbor Freight. And again, I'm really cheap, so I buy cheap stuff. I got a punch set. I think it was $5, and they have coupons all the time, so you can get it for less than that. But with this punch set, you simply place the punch underneath of one of the posts, then take your hammer and smack the punch, and it will knock the pin out. What I do is alternate back and forth. Again, I'm just pretty cautious with these because they're not replaceable. So I try not to damage them. What I'm concerned about is if you take the punch and you smack it through the playfield just as hard as you can, will it actually shear off that fragile, thin piece, which actually acts as the buffer between the lamp shield and the ball. So, taking out one of these is also something where you have to be concerned about the effect that it has on the playfield surface. If you are way too happy with the punch, then it's going to exert a whole lot of pressure on the playfield surface and actually either bow it outwards or damage it. Chunks will fly out. So you want to be careful. Don't come at this with your Hulk strength. You want to use tempered blows in order to get this out. If I have a particularly stubborn one, then I will actually use my old friend the rubber mallet, and this allows, again, some of the force to dissipate, but it makes me feel better when I'm striking that punch and I'm using more force to do something like that. Oh, the other thing I should mention is if you take the playfield out of the game, it makes this job a million times easier. And if you have it resting on some kind of surface or on sawhorses or the like, it will make this a lot easier. Now, you've taken out these springs, and there's 8 of them. What do? Cleaning them is not incredibly easy, again, due to their fragility. So one thing you can do is just be very careful and very slowly work your polish in. But 99% of the lamp springs that I've seen are absolutely filthy, and they require a bit more consideration. So this is something that I will use a tumbler for. You have to make sure that you have fine media, very fine, and then spray a couple bits of metal polish in there, liquid kind, and see what happens. Now, some of the time the lamp springs are rusted, and when a metal becomes rusted, it actually eats away part of the material. So even if the tumbler is able to remove the rust spots, you'll be left with a pitted surface. So the first thing you should do is just be ready for it not to be absolutely perfect. But after it's done, the difference that you see is incredible. I mean, a shiny metal piece that's right in front of the playfield lamps. It's very visible to the player, and it's very eye-catching when it's shiny. It's also eye-catching when it's disgustingly filthy, but for a different reason. So I have 3 bingos at the moment. 2 of them I have punched out the lamp springs and polished them. And then the third one is ticker tape, my recent acquisition. An operator had previously applied some kind of glue or something on every single post in the game. I assume that they had some problems with the posts weakening over time in some of their games, and so they did this as a preventative measure. I don't see anywhere where it was really necessary to do this kind of repair, especially on every single thing in the game. Well, the operator who did this got a little sloppy, and they managed to get the glue on the outside and inside of these lamp springs, which are otherwise in pretty darn good shape. They'd be candidates just for polishing in the game if it weren't for this. And so, because of the unknown quantity of the glue that they used, and how strong it is, and what the bond is on the surrounding areas of the playfield, I haven't punched those out. And I don't know that I ever will. I'm just a little too frightened of what's going to happen when I do it. So, yet another piece of advice is examine the area around your lamp springs and make sure that it's not going to have a detrimental effect when you knock that thing out. Another tip is to brace the opposite side of the playfield surface to absorb some of the impact. One thing that you can do is to take a wine cork and then cut out a slit and slide it over the post that you're about to knock out. And this will help absorb some of the impact and recoil that'll happen naturally after each blow, and will hopefully help dampen the forces on the playfield which might damage it. So this is another thing that I only do pretty much once, and then I just maintain. And I do it to try to get a consistent, beautiful product out of it. But, not everyone agrees with that, and that's certainly a valid opinion to have. If you don't want to do that, I completely understand. There's so much risk of damaging your game that Some people don't find it worth it. So you got the thing out, you polished it, now you need to reassemble it. And this is where your friend the cut cork is going to come into play again. Now you'll want to cut it down a little more so that the top part of the post is visible to your hammer, and you're going to want to tap it in. Again, you're going to want to be gentle. So this is another spot where I use my friend the rubber mallet, and it works very well. You can go very slowly and tap, tap, tap away until you get to the appropriate depth. It's pretty easy to see from the bottom of the playfield if you've reached the appropriate depth as well. It's another nice thing about bingos. If you see metal nearing flush with the bottom of the playfield, then you're pretty much in the right spot. A word of warning when you're doing the reassembly: it's easy to have the springs unwound an extra turn, and this will give your spring a very loose feel when the ball hits it. I'm certainly guilty of doing that. It's really easy to do. So pay attention and go slowly, and you will have some great results on your game. Well, thank you very much for joining me. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on our phone line, which is 724-BINGOS-1. That's 724-246-4671. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at nbaldridge. And you can listen to us on our website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.